What's up, everybody? Exciting day here for Dota. As you can see, version 6.78 has just been released by IceFrog on playdota.com. So I'm just making a video to go through some of the changes we have in 6.78. So first of all, two new heroes have been added. I'm not going to go too in depth with them because I don't play Dota 1. So I'm not actually sure what they are all about. So I'll just leave them for you to read yourself on playdota.com. So basically we have two new heroes, one strength hero Sentinel, one new in hero also for the Sentinel. Arc Warden, another Dota 1 hero, not in Dota 2. So I will not touch on his changes as well, as I don't really know his impact. So X receives a buff for his counter helix. The cooldown has been reduced at all levels, which means that during fights he can proc counter helix more times. So a slight buff for X. Ancient Apparition receives some buffs. So the Ice Vortex cooldown is down to 5, so we can cast them more frequently, not a big change. The Ice Blast AoE increase, so you can easily hit more targets. The biggest change is Aghanim Scepter upgrade. So Ice Blast duration is now increased from 8, 9, 10 to a permanent 17 if you have Aghanim Scepter. What this means is that how Ice Blast works is that if you are under the effect of Ice Blast, you are under Frostbite, you can't actually receive heals, which means that for a longer duration you cannot be healed by your allies. I'm not sure if the damage tick from the Ice Blast will apply over all 17 seconds as well. Previously, for the duration of Ice Blast, you also receive damage ticks. So probably now you will get the damage tick over all 17 seconds. Which means that you are more likely to shatter from the Ice Blast. Buff, a huge buff from Aghanim Scepter. Bat Rider now has received a nerf, more nerfs for Bat Rider. He's a bit too good in the competitive scene right now. So his daytime range has actually been nerfed from 1800 to 1400. So that's below the average of heroes. Most heroes have a vision range of 1800 daytime, nighttime. So now he sees much poorer in the day. He can only see 1400 vision range in the day. Which makes him similar somewhat to Night Stalker. Night Stalker's daytime range is about 1200. So now Bat Rider can no longer see as far. He needs another nerf from him is that now Flame Break costs 140 mana at all levels. Which means that you won't be able to use it as often when you are at lower level. So much needed nerf for Bat Rider. Constantly picked and banned in every competitive game right now. Beastmaster, some slight changes to his Greater Hawk. The fake time has decreased, so which means that the Hawk can be less easily killed. Not a huge change, not likely to cause any big changes in the way he's played. Bloodseeker. Huge buff for Thirst. Thirst is Bloodseeker's ability whereby if an enemy is on low health, in a 6000 radius, Bloodseeker will get a speed buff as well as a true sight of the enemy hero. So on top of those two abilities or passives, now he also receives armor buff. So he gets a speed buff, armor buff as well as true sight, which makes him much better at hunting heroes. So other than that, Blood Rage also dispels the target before applying his buff. So it will cause it to remove things like Ethereal. Which means this means that if you want to hit someone and he uses Ghost Scepter or F-Blade to go Ethereal, you can use Blood Rage to force the hero to become physical again, so you can hit him. So overall, making Bloodseeker a better hunter. No longer can Ghost Scepter out. Another one huge change for Rupture is that now is HP loss instead of magic damage. I think previously it was pure damage, which means that if you had BKB, you will not receive damage from Rupture when you move under the effect of BKB. But now it has changed to HP loss, which means that even if you BKB, you will still go through. Which makes sense as most ultimates go through magic immunity. So Bloodseekers, basically Bloodseekers ultimate now goes through BKB. Next, Bounty Hunter. Bounty Hunter's track has been buffed. Okay, so now it costs 50 mana at all levels. I like this change because Bounty Hunter's track received nerf a couple of one or two versions back, whereby the minus armor from track was removed. So now he sort of got a slight buff back in terms of mana cost, okay, which is good because Bounty Hunter at early levels tend to have some mana issues. So now this will allow him to cast track more frequently. Okay, next, Bristleback. Okay, now the Quill Spray hit memory increased from 10 seconds to 14 seconds, which means that you have more time in between casts, okay, to hit the enemy with your Quill Spray, okay, to increase the stack. Quill Spray basically increases, there is a bonus damage for every time you stack Quill Spray on top of an enemy. So the time between the stacks is increased. So this is a minor buff. Broodmother, again, she has completely dropped off the competitive scene due to some of the changes in the meta game as well as her ability. So now they're trying to get her back. Her incapacitating bite has received a huge buff, which means that if you bite the person will have a high miss chance. Okay, so if you're physically attacking someone, if you're man fighting, you will be more likely to come out as the victor, okay, as the person is more likely to miss you. Okay, so at level 1 is actually, if you notice, is from a 10% to a 30% miss chance. That's like a 200% improvement. It's a huge buff. As in Dota, even if you get something like a 50% buff, okay, it's huge. Okay, this is basically major. Sorry about that. Okay, this is like a major, okay, buff for incapacitating bite. Spawn Broodlings now spawn 4. Sorry, Broodlings spawn Spiderlings. Okay, now spawn 4 units at level 4. Not sure if this is a buff or a nerf. Probably just some minor change because Broodlings do give more gold now. So spawning more doesn't necessarily give you an advantage. Sure, it allows you to siege towers more effectively and maybe farm more quickly, okay, but if the enemy has AoE, okay, this means that the enemy is going to receive more gold from your spawn Spiderlings. Okay, Centaur War Chief, they now added to Captain's Mode. Okay, previously he's removed because his ultimate got reworked, so now he's back in Captain's Mode now that his abilities have more or less stabilized. Okay. Okay, next, Klinks receives a buff to his Strafe, so Strafe can be used more frequently now at all levels. Okay, the cooldown has decreased at all levels. Okay, next we have Clockwork Goblin. Okay, Clockwork Goblin receives a nerf for his Power Cogs, much needed nerf. Power Cogs is a bit too good right now. In fact, it's actually very good. He is constantly, not say constantly, he is frequently picked by teams, okay, in the competitive scene for his cogs. Yeah. So now it will no longer knock back magic immune units. So it's actually a very minor nerf. It doesn't really change the way it's used. Okay. Next, Crystal Maiden. Crystal Maiden also receives some buff to abilities. Okay, her Brilliance Aura receives a buff. Okay, now it regens more mana per second, okay, at all levels. Okay, so now it regens 1 mana per second, okay, at level 1. Okay, next, her Freezing Field also receives a buff. Okay, each explosion now explodes with an AoE of 215 to 230. So unfortunately I don't really think these buffs are that significant. Okay, Crystal Maiden is still pretty much food for other heroes. She has too little HP. If anything, if we want to see her being picked more often, I think what she really needs is a range increase for her cast abilities. For example, Frostbite. Okay, Frostbite currently has a cast range of 600 or 500. I can't remember the exact numbers. Okay, some low numbers, like I think it's 500. Yeah, but I'm not very sure. It has a very low cast range, which means that in order for Crystal Maiden to use her disable, which is Frostbite, she has to get right up to the enemy, which means that she's more likely to get killed. Aghanim's upgrade to the Freezing Aura is not really helpful. Okay, this is practically a useless buff because no one is able to get Aghanims on Crystal Maiden. Okay, basically she's just a poor support. Okay, no one, I doubt anyone will buy Aghanim Scepter on her. Okay, even if you had the goal, you spend it on something like a BKB or four staff or something much better. Okay, don't buy Aghanim Scepter on Crystal Maiden. You won't be able to afford it anyway. Darkseer receives another nerf. He's been nerfed to hell since several versions back. He's still good, but Vacuum now cooldown increased from 22 to 24, so have to be more careful about using Vacuum. Okay, next we have Dazzle. Dazzle's Shadow Wave count increases, so you can heal more units from level 2 onwards. Okay, which is good. Okay, Shallow Grave can now be cast on magic immune allies. Good. Okay, hopefully we'll see more of him. Death Prophet, we see some remake. Basically her base movement speed is decreased from 285 to 280. This comes because Witchcraft was reworked, or I call it a rework because it's not really a buff. Okay, so Witchcraft move speed bonus now increases at every level. Okay, which is the reason why her base move speed actually is decreased. I didn't do the math, so you guys out there who want to go in depth into mechanics, you can work it out whether this is actually a buff or a nerf. Okay, so basically she got a rework between Witchcraft and movement speed, her base movement speed. Silence AoE is now increased to 350 at all levels, which means that now she can disable more enemies with silence at even level 1. Okay, that's for Death Prophet. Disruptor, Thunderstrike receives a small buff. Previously it was 3 strikes over 4 seconds. Now it's 4 strikes over 6 seconds, which means that it will do more damage at every level. Okay, for example, level 1 it does 150 damage, but now it does 160 at level 1. So at level 4 it used to do 375. Now at level 4 it does 400 damage total. So that's a very slight buff to Disruptor's Thunderstrike. The AoE also increases, which means that it will hit more likely to hit enemy, but honestly 200 to 240 is not a huge increase. It's still practically almost melee range. It probably allows you to hit more creeps. I think 200, 240. I think, okay, what this means is probably that now if you cast it on a melee creep, it will also hit on the range creep. Previously, at 200 range, I don't think it would have been able to hit, but I could be wrong on this. So this could be the reason for the range increase. I mean the AoE increase. Okay, it allows you to hit to push more effectively, basically. So you can hit the range creep, which is on the back lines. Okay, that's for Disruptor. Doombringer, okay, so Doom now receives a buff. Okay, it disables more things. Okay, like Feast, Backtrack, Dispersion, Juxtapose, okay, Bristleback, okay, Bloodbath. Okay, so all these are disabled. Okay, so Aghanim's Doom duration doesn't count down. Okay, so this is an upgrade to Doom, which means that the Doom has a counter, so which means that the counter doesn't count down now if Doombringer is constantly chasing the enemy, which means that if Doombringer is on your back, your Doom duration will not. You will permanently be doomed if Doombringer is within 550 range of you, okay, which is quite huge, which means that you can't run away from Doombringer, you will die if he has high movement speed. So that's for Doombringer. Okay, now we have a huge buff for Dragon Knight. His Corrosive Breath passive from level 1 ultimate is now carried over to level 2. Okay, previously, when people played Dragon Knight, they will keep his ultimate at level 1 because they want the Corrosive Breath for pushing. Because basically you're doing damage over time to towers, okay, which is very effective for bringing down towers. So now it will carry over to level 2, which means that most people are more likely to pick up the level 2 ultimate at level 11. Okay, probably just means that people will keep it at level 11. I mean, keep the ultimate at level 2. okay, for more often now. Okay, so they will now pick up the ultimate level 11. Okay, Draw Ranger. Draw Ranger receives a buff for her True Shot Aura. She's still sort of a weird, awkward hero, seldom seen in the competitive scene. So now she receives slight buff for True Shot Aura. Not likely to change the way she's played or how often she's picked. Not a big change from a previous ability. Okay, Earthshaker. Earthshaker received some important changes. Okay, previously, Earthshaker was a top tier pick for support. Somewhat dropped off after TI2. Okay, being picked more often recently, but Earthshaker's problem is that his Fisher requires too much cast time. So the turn rate improvement will actually help Earthshaker, because now when he wants to turn and cast Fisher, let's say when he's running away or he's trying to do something with Fisher, it will be much easier for Earthshaker to get the Fisher off because of the improvement in turn rate. Okay, the Fisher's range itself has also been improved. Now it goes up to 1300 instead of 1200, so we can block for a greater distance. Okay, Echo Slam now counts illusions and heroes. Okay, this is a change to our Aghanim Scepter upgrade. Again, it's not going to have a huge impact because again, Earthshaker is unlikely to pick up Aghanim Scepter. Anyway, previously if you had Aghanim Scepter, Echo Slam actually echoes twice, okay, if it hits a hero. So now it considers illusions as heroes, so you echo twice of illusions. Okay? I think it's like a very indirect nerf towards like Phantom Lancer, which is a bit too imbalanced now. So basically, if now you can basically counter pick PL with Earthshaker, and you have to let Earthshaker get farmed to get Aghanim Scepter to counter a PL. Okay, I don't think it's gonna be very effective. I mean, who's gonna pick an Earthshaker to counter PL and let him have the farm and get Aghanim Scepter? I don't know. I don't know how this is gonna play out. Maybe some pro teams will try this out, and we'll see how effective this is. Okay. Next, okay, Ember Spirit. Ember Spirit is not in Dota 2, so I'm not going to talk about her. Enchantress, okay, more buffs for her. Now her Aghanim Scepter bonus range upgrade is increased from 165 to 190, okay, which means that she can hit someone with her impetus from much further away. Okay, which is a decent buff for her now. Yeah, because usually Enchantress, she's quite low HP. She's a low HP hero, so basically she doesn't want to be on the front line. She wants to deal her impetus damage from the back lines. So this is a very helpful buff for her. And Aghanim Scepter is usually picked up on Enchantress, so this is quite helpful for her. Enigma receives a rework for his Malphite. Okay, so basically now it does more damage, and does it stun for longer? I'm not very sure. Okay, it stuns for the same duration for all levels, if I'm not wrong, since it says 6 for all levels instead of 2, 4, 4, 6. Okay, so I guess now the full duration. Oh, okay. So now it will last for 6 seconds. So each tick is still a 1 sec. Each tick is no longer. Oh, okay. Now I understand. It's actually a rework. Previously Enigma's Malphite stuns for 1 second at all levels. But now at level 1, okay, for example, if I use Malphite at level 1, basically it will tick 3 times. Okay, and each time it will do a mini stun of 0.21 seconds instead of a stun for 1 second. So it's a minor rework. So I would say it's a bit less effective, okay, as a stun, okay, at level 1, okay, as a stun, and slightly better as a ability at level 4 because it does more damage. Not sure why we needed this. Maybe because it was a bit too good at level 1 previously. Okay, so now it's reworked, so it's not as good level 1, slightly better at level 4. Okay, next, okay, Goblin Shadow receives a base rank increase by 3. Okay, so he can basically last hit more easily since he's a strength hero. I can't remember if it's a strength hero. Okay, but never mind. Anyway, okay, so he receives an ingrowth of 1.8 to 2.4. This needed because Goblin Shredder has mana problems to... Basically, he needs to cast his abilities to do anything at all. So he needs the mana. And previously, he was really kind of a hero that was short mana all the time. Unless he managed to get a Bloodstone or something like that. So with the new ingrowth, he should be better in terms of mana management. Okay. Slight changes to Chakram's initial mana cost. As mentioned, Goblin Shredder has mana problems, so now it will be easier for him to use his ultimate at lower levels. Okay, so this is a buff for him. Same for the movement speed of the Chakram, so it now moves faster. Okay, next, Gyrocopter receives a nerf. Okay, I would say that this nerf was expected, and I would say that it was not as big as what I would have given Gyrocopter. Basically, Gyrocopter, his flat cannon deals 100% damage over 1000 AoE. Basically, what this means is that flat cannon is 100% cleave over 1000 AoE, okay, for very little mana. Okay, basically he hits everyone for the same damage at 6 times, which is why he is always, or not say always, which is why he's a very good carry. Basically, if you have something like a MKB or even Divine Rapier on him, you turn on Flat Cannon, you walk into a team fight, okay, hit the enemy nearest to you. Okay, you don't even need to go into the fight. Okay, you just hit the enemy nearest to you. In a 1000 AoE, everybody gets hit. Okay, which means that sometimes you don't even need a MKB for True Strike. If someone gets a butterfly, you just hit someone else. Okay, and the guy with the butterfly will get hit. Okay, so which is why he is such a good carry. So Flat Cannon receives a slight nerf with a cooldown for 20 to 30 seconds. Okay, this is a very, 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 very minor nerf. Okay, I would say it will not change the way Gyrocopter is played. Perhaps players will be more prudent about using his Flat Cannon. Okay, for example, you won't have it when you need it if you are using it to farm. So people will be more careful about using it. Okay, but otherwise, it's still just as good as a spell. Okay? In fact, I was expecting something like a reduction in the splash damage, or a slight nerf to the AoE or something like that. Okay? Or a decrease in attack speed when you're using Flat Cannon. Okay? This is a much needed nerf, but it was less than expected. Haska, base strength increased by 3. Okay, so he is better damage at level 1. Okay, Burning Spear DPS increase, so the Burning Spear does more damage over time. His life breaks receive a buff, now costs more HP to use, but not necessarily a bad thing because his ability to deal damage actually increases as his HP is less. So increasing the HP cost for his life break may not be a bad thing for him. His Berserker's Blood has been reworked. Basically previously he released attack. It was a DPS ability whereby for blood, for HP that you're missing, you increase your attack speed and damage. Okay, so they nerfed a bit of the damage, so now it doesn't do bonus damage. It only increases your attack speed, but it increases your survivability. Okay, it increases your magic resistance, which means that you are less likely to be nuked down by enemies with nukes, basically. And due to this, he has been removed from Captain's mode. Okay, to see how this plays out. Okay, in pubs. So we'll see. Okay, Invoker receives some minor buffs. Alacrity cost decreases, Ghost Walk cooldown decreases, Ghost Walk slow increases, Tornado damage rescale. This is actually a nerf. Let's see. Oh no, it's actually a buff. Okay, so now you do twice of the Quaswax level. But anyway, I don't think this will change how Invoker is being played in the competitive scene right now. Basically, he has dropped off completely due to the massive nerfs he received in his base damage. Basically, he can't last hit at all in lane. So no one picks him anymore. Basically, Invoker, he can't lane. The buff, the nerf in the previous version totally destroyed Invoker. He can't lane at all, even with items. Unless you go like Exalt build, which really limits his utility. Basically, Invoker is a very utility heavy hero. His spells are very very powerful, but if he can't lane, he can't get to the point whereby he is useful. So Don't think these changes will affect how often he's picked right now. Okay, Wisp. Wisp is what some people argue is a totally imbalanced hero right now with his global teleport. So he receives some very slight nerfs that has nothing to do with his imbalanced skill, which is the global teleport. So now the spirits no longer provide vision, so he is completely ineffective now as a scouting unit. Okay, so you can't use spirits to scout out forests or jungles, okay, behind tree lines basically. And now overcharge, okay, the HP and mana cost increases, so he can't use it as often. Okay, basically what he was used previously is basically he increases the DPS of your carries, okay, while he is tethered. So now it cannot be used as it cannot be used as often and cannot be used for as long because it costs him more HP. Yeah. So nerf to the IO or Wisp, depending on what you call him. Okay, Juggernaut Omni Slash, slight tweak. Now it no longer jumps on Tombstone zombies. Okay. Next, Keeper of the Light. Okay, his base strength is now decreased by 2. Keeper of Light is currently being picked quite often in the competitive scene as a support. So now his base strength decreased by 2, which means that he is more likely to die at low levels. So not sure if this will cause him to drop off completely because his laning phase is going to suck right now. Basically, he's missing almost not almost. He will be missing 38 HP basically at level 1. Okay, when you start out, which is huge. Okay, because he already starts with very little HP in the first place. Okay, next, Konka. Ghost Ship receives even more buff. Okay, it was buffed heavily in the last 2 patches, if I'm not wrong. Ghost Ship cooldown was buffed massively. In fact, in the recent TI3 qualifiers, TI3 East qualifiers, he was picked heavily by the Chinese teams. Almost every Chinese team was picking up Konka for his Ghost Ship because of the Coco Rum. It was too good. People were just throwing out boats left, right, and center. Okay, so now it receives even more buff. So I would say we will expect him to see him more often as a pick in TI3. I would say by the Chinese teams, unless of course there's a 6.78B or something that comes out in between that changes this. Okay, X marks the spot. Mana decrease. So now Kunkka can use X marks the spot more easily. Okay, now costs 80 mana at all levels. X marks the spot no longer provides 1000 vision range, so slight nerf to X marks the spot in terms of vision. Okay, you can't see around the X mark as clearly as before. Okay, Legion Commander, not yet in the Dota 2, okay, but I'm looking forward to her. It's a her in Dota 2. I think her abilities are very interesting. It allows I like to see how she will be picked up in the captain's mode. Okay, basically, Legion Commander, I would say, will definitely be one of the next heroes to be added into Dota 2. So now that she's added to the captain's mode in Dota 1, this means that when she's added to Dota 2, she should be immediately added into the captain's mode, which means that she can be a pick in TI3. Okay, I like to see how she's going to be played because I think her abilities are absolutely interesting. Yeah. Okay, next, we have Lich. Lich receives a slight buff for his Chain Force. Now it bounces more, which means that it's more powerful now at lower levels. Basically, Lich, it will still, I'd say, not be picked at all, or very seldom picked in competitive games because his problem is not his Chain Force. Basically, he scales off late game or even mid game. So now Chain Force can do more damage, okay, but not sure how effective this buff will be. So we shall see. Next, Life Stealer receives some much needed nerfs. Again, a very slight nerf. I think Icefog doesn't want him to drop out completely from the competitive scene, so he receives a very slight nerf, okay, to one of his abilities. Okay, so Open Wounds cast range is now decreased. So basically, what this means is that Life Stealer can no longer initiate from long range. Okay, previously what happens is that the range for Open Wounds is 600, means that he can cast it on you, okay, run up to you and hit you. Okay, what happens now is that the range has been nerfed, okay, to 200, 300, 400, 500. So what this means is that Life Stealer can no longer initiate on you from long range. Okay, you will see him coming, and you will see him running towards you to cast open wounds on you, which means that you have time to run away. Okay, so this means that his ganking will be less effective, unless he's of course supported by other allies. Okay, so this is a nerf to Lifestealer, a very slight nerf. Okay, unfortunately his rage is still imbalanced and infest is still good. Okay, I don't think this will change the way Lifestealer is played. He should still be picked very frequently in competitive games. Okay, next, Lina receives a slight buff to her attack range, so she can now hit further. Probably make her more effective as a laning support. Okay, next, Lion. Lion receives even more buffs. Okay, Lion, kind of a weird support hero. He's very good at disables, but he isn't picked very often due to some issues he have. His base movement speed is too slow, which means it's very difficult for him to get into position, and his HP is very low. Okay? In fact, if you compare Lion with Lina, Lina actually has more HP than Lion. Okay, so which is kind of weird. Okay, anyway, they buffed him slightly by increasing his mana drain, break, and cast range. I would say it's still kind of a sucky ability. Because what you need to do in mana drain is that you need to stand there and drain someone, which is kind of ineffective. Because no one is going to let you just stand there and drain their mana, and it forces you to be stationary. Okay, in Dota, anything that forces you to be in a certain position is bad. Okay, which is why abilities like Vacuum is very powerful. It forces you to be in a certain position. Okay, what mana drain does to you is it forces you to be stationary, which is terrible. So if it were me to make to make mana drain a useful ability, it has to be sort of a casting ability whereby you just simply drain a fixed amount, something like what's the, can't remember what's the ability. I just lost it. Brain sap. Yeah, it has to be something like a brain sap. Okay, whereby you just drain a fixed amount of mana from someone. Okay, and that's it. We call it a day. Don't make Lion stand there and drain someone's mana. It's terrible. Okay, and Aghanim's Scepter's Finger of Death cooldown, it receives huge buff. Okay, which means now, with Aghanim's Scepter, you can basically, just let me check. Yeah, I can't off the top of my head, I can't remember what is the damage. Sceptered damage is 1025 magic damage. Okay, so basically what this means is that you can nuke someone for 1000 damage every 20 seconds. Okay, if you have the mana for it. Okay, so not sure if this will make Lion more viable. Okay, we shall see. Okay, Lone Druid receives a huge, okay, I wouldn't say a nerf, it's more of a bug fix. Okay, previously, Armlet on Spirit Bear, it doesn't drain his HP, okay, which is totally broken. Armlet should drain HP when it's on. Okay, so now it drains HP when it's on. So now you can't just turn on Armlet on Spirit Bear. Okay, this is a much needed fix. Okay, perfectly justified. Okay, well done. And now Spirit Bear bounty increases from 100 to 300. Another slight nerf, which means that you have to be more careful when using your bear. If it dies, okay, it gives a lot of gold to your to the enemy. Okay, basically it's like a hero kill, okay, in terms of gold. Okay, Lord of Avernus, okay, again one of the heroes that is coming to Dota 2 soon, but not yet. Okay, so he receives a movement speed buff. Okay, Lycanthrope, armor increased by 1. Not sure if this changes the way he's played. He still suck at laning and not as good as at jungling. Not sure if that armor increase will help. Okay, next we have Magnetor. Magnetor reverse polarity again receives a very he receives a nerf. He basically it deals less damage, okay, or for reverse polarity. Not sure if this was a needed nerf. Previously Magnetor was always picked. Okay, but now recently in the TI3 East qualifiers, he's kind of being ignored really, because what Magnetor is he's a team fight hero, so reverse polarity gives you huge team fight potential with reverse polarity. But the meta has sort of changed whereby I don't know, people are not so focused on teamfight AoEs, okay, which is why heroes like Tidehunter, Enigma are not being picked. And in the TI3 East qualifiers, Magnetor actually towards the end wasn't picked much at all. So not sure if this was a needed nerf for Magnetor. Okay, next, Medusa. Receives a rework. Hopefully this will put her back on the competitive scene, but I doubt it. Okay, what the rework now is that instead of just slow, you have the potential to force the enemy to become stone, which means that they take extra physical damage. Okay, which means that if you manage to stone someone, Medusa's ability will deal a lot more damage, okay, to the enemy that has become stone. So, but the problem with this, okay, I'm not sure if this will help her become a ganking hero. Okay, what I mean is that she gets a fast 6 and she goes around helping other people get kills. Okay, because Medusa's problem now is that she needs too much farm to be effective. Okay, she's basically a super late game hero. She is not effective early game. Her laning phase is not good. Okay, so with this disable, okay, hopefully people will play her like sort of a mid hero, get her fast 6, okay, and go around ganking with the stone gaze. Okay, because it now disables and deals bonus damage. I'm not very sure, but anyway, she's now removed from captain's mode due to this change in ability, and we'll see how it works out in pubs. Okay, next, Meepo receives much needed buff. Okay, increase magic resistance, previously too easy to die. Okay, so now he has more magic resistance. Mirana, okay, Elun's arrow now deals 100 extra damage. Okay, so buff. Moonlight Shadow receives buff. Okay, so slight reward for Starfall. Okay, so this is okay. Now you will get another second target if the first one died. Okay, this is a slight fix, I would say. And Moonlight Shadow, okay, basically for Mirana, Moonlight Shadow isn't as useful now as previously due to the introduction of Smoke of Deceit to the game. So not sure if this will actually help her get back into the meta. Okay, next, Morphling receives a buff. Okay, his base attack time has now increased from 1.7 to 1.6. Okay, what changing base attack time means that you will receive a better you benefit more from attack speed items, similar to what happens for Alchemist. Alchemist has a huge decrease in base attack time when it goes into Chemical Rage. So this is something similar. With a lower base attack time, you benefit more from attack speed items. Okay, so slight buff for him. Basically, Morphling has been nerfed to hell since TI2. Okay, basically Ice Frog just threw nerfs on him until he was completely not viable anymore. Okay, in the competitive scene, still picked very 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 rarely. Okay, but he has a terrible time now. Okay, no one looks at him anymore. Okay, Naga Siren, okay, Riptide cooldown rescaled to 10 seconds at all levels. Okay, so we can use it more often. Okay, next, Necrolite receives a slight rework for his Aghanim Scepter, so now you can't buy back. Yeah, you can't buy back if you are killed by Reaper Scythe. Okay, that's the main thing. Okay, next, Nerubian Assassin. Okay, mana drain now is a does scaling damage. Okay, it no longer does 5x at all levels. Okay, it starts from 3.5 times. Okay, it's still decent. But the important thing is that now the mana cost has been scaled to 100 at all levels. Basically, Nerubian Assassin has some mana problems, so he can't use all his abilities as often at lower levels. Okay, but I think he will still be a very basically it makes him an even better support right now. Okay, he's already very often picked by teams in competitive games, so this should make him better. But it should make mana burn picked up slightly more often, because sometimes people now go Impale and Spike Carapace and they ignore mana burn because of the mana cost at level 1. So hopefully now people will pick it up at level 1 and use it. Okay, next, Night Stalker receives some minor buff for Hunter in the night. So basically now it's just as good at level 4, but it is better at earlier levels. Okay, so it's better early, the same at level 4. Okay, Obsidian Destroyer or Outworld Devourer as it's known, okay, in Dota 2. Slight movement speed buff, okay, 310 to 315, okay, should help him be more survivable slightly. Okay, Ogre Magi, okay, receive buff for his Ignite DPS, so now it's better at level 4, okay, but the same at level 1. Okay, Omni Knight, okay, added Aghanim Scepter upgrade for his ultimate Guardian Angel, so Guardian Angel now becomes AoE, and it also affects buildings, okay, which means that if you upgrade Aghanim Scepter for Omni Knight, you get extra glyph. Okay, basically that's it, you receive extra glyph. It's basically a glyph. Okay, if you cast Guardian Angel on a tower, it's like a glyph. Okay, the armor is so high that you do practically no damage at all. Okay, so basically Omni Knight becomes a walking glyph with Aghanim Scepter. Yeah. Okay. Okay, Brewmaster. Okay, Primal Split units now gain your current level of Drunken Brawler. Okay, so Fire Panda no longer upgrades damage, so this is a nerf to Fire Panda. Oh, okay, so it receives about the same damage with the Drunken Brawler buff. So this is removed due to this change with Aghanim Scepter. Okay, Phantom Assassin PA receives slight buff to her blur, so her blur is even better now. She has even more survivability with level 4 blur. Okay, which means late game she has much better survivability. I can't do the math now. Basically it translates into more effective HP. Again, for the people who want to do the math, you can do the math yourself. Okay, what does 5% increase in evasion translate to in terms of effective HP? So basically it makes her more survivable as a carry. She can man fight more effectively with other carries. Okay, Phantom Lancer receives a very slight nerf. Okay, his illusions now deal less damage. Okay, but I don't think it changes much because the thing about Phantom Lancer is the illusions get the bulk of their damage from the diffuser blade. So yeah, the normal damage decrease is a very slight nerf. Okay, in fact, what makes Phantom Lancer so good is actually his AG gain, I would say. He has the highest agility gain in the whole game right now. So yeah, very slight nerf. Okay, he should still basically be Cancer Lancer. Okay, picked quite often. Okay, next Phoenix. Again another hero. Okay, not in Dota 2, so I shall not talk about Phoenix. Okay, I have no idea what abilities Phoenix has. Okay, Patch. Okay, Flash hit strength bonus now increases. Basically now he's going to be even more effective in pub games. Probably not so much in competitive games. He's a situational pick for competitive games. Basically only Dandy from Navi picks him. Okay. Next, Pagna. Okay, Pagna now the Nether Blast deals 50% damage to structures, so which makes him a much better pushing hero. So maybe he will get picked more often due to this buff in his ability to take down buildings. Okay, and Decrepify can now target Tombstone, basically help Tombstone survive slightly longer from physical attacks. Okay, next, Razor receives some buffs. Eye of the Storm duration increased to 30 seconds at all levels. Strike interval decrease, which means that it strikes more often. When you have unstable current bonus speed increases as well. Okay, so buffs all around for him. Okay, next, okay, Rikimaru receives a slight buff to his ultimate, so the fade time now is shorter. Basically, helps him run away more easily. Okay, next we have Sand King. Okay, now his fade time when exiting Sandstorm is 1.5 at all levels. Okay, what this means is that normally people will pick up normally people pick up Sandstorm actually not for the damage, but rather for the ability to be invisible. So which means that I can now just take up 1 point in Sandstorm and forget about the ability completely, because what I want is actually the invisibility. Okay, so now with this buff, okay, basically I can just pick 1 point in Sandstorm and just use it. Okay, very good buff for him. And now Sandstorm ticks at 0.5 seconds instead of 1, okay, which means that it deals damage every half a second instead of every 1 second. What this means is that it does more ticks over time. Okay, so against something like a Templar Assassin, you will breach her refraction in half the time. Okay, so because it does more ticks over time. Okay, Shadow Demon, very often picked hero in competitive games. So now he receives base intelligence nerf by 3. So basically he will have some mana problems at the beginning of the game. Okay, and Shadow Poison no longer gives you vision for the unit with the debuff. Okay, basically previously Shadow Poison, I think it works something like Trap, whereby it gives you vision of the target that had the debuff on him. Okay, so yeah, it no longer locks on vision to units with debuff them for 10 seconds. Okay, so this has been removed. Okay, so it's not as effective as a scouting ability. Okay, next, Requiem of Souls for Shadow Fiend receives some changes. The slow has been reskilled 20% at all levels, so it's better early and worst late. Okay, and Requiem of Souls damage reduction has been increased to 50% all levels, okay, which is huge. Okay, basically if you hit someone, okay, with Requiem of Souls, okay, their damage is reduced by 50%, okay, at all levels. Okay, next. Okay, so Shadow Shaman receives some changes to his Mass Serpent wards. So basically, it does slightly more damage when it's not upgraded. Okay, and it does a lot more damage when it's upgraded. Okay, so it's a damage upgrade. Okay, when you have Aghanim Scepter. Okay, global silencer. Okay, global silence now affects sleeping units. Basically, for something like an Elder Titan, if you sleep the unit, you can also cast global silence. Okay, and it will affect them as well. Okay, so probably previously it didn't affect them. Okay, okay, so buff. Okay, so now Aghanim Scepter upgrade for global silence. Okay, it also what does this mean? Applies the current level of curse to all units and increases ultimate duration by 1 second. Yeah, so this probably means that when you cast global silence, you also place curse of the silent on them. Yeah, I'm not sure what this means. Applies the current level to all units. So yeah, I have to see how this works when it goes into the games. Okay, but basically, okay, it also increases the ultimate duration by 1 second. Okay, next, Skeleton King receives some buffs for his ultimate reincarnation. So when he reincarnates in the area, enemy also gets attack speed slow on top of the movement speed slow. No, wait. Okay, let me just check what is this. Skeleton King reincarnation. Yeah, correct. Yeah, sorry, I was a bit lost there. When you reincarnate enemies in the area, basically previously will be slowed in terms of movement speed, so now it stacks attack speed slow on top of it as well. Okay, so this applies now when he dies, okay, rather than when he reincarnates. So basically, if you kill Skeleton King, you will be slowed both in terms of movement and attack speed, so he has a better chance of killing you when he comes back. Okay, basically that's what it does. Okay, he has a better chance to kill you when he comes back. Okay, next, okay, Critical Strike. Rework now has a passive and active component. Okay, not only does it give you a passive critical strike, now you can activate it. So when you activate it, the critical strike is temporarily disabled, but what it gives you is HP drain, which is 20% of max. Oh, okay. This doesn't affect, actually just temporarily drains it and returns it. Okay, so I would say basically it. Okay, so let's say if I have 1000 HP, basically what it does is I will activate or cast it on the enemy, and I would drain 200 of it. But it doesn't change the max HP, and at the end of the duration, the 200 HP will be returned back to enemy. So basically, it gives you a 7-second duration whereby you can kill the enemy more easily. Okay, and that is based on a 20%, which means that it is going to scale better, okay, into the late game. Okay, percentage skills always scale better in the late game, so you can now is be sort of like an anti-carry hero whereby you immediately, okay, drain 20% of the max HP. Okay, for 7 seconds. Okay, for 7 seconds you can kill enemy more easily. Okay, next, Slada. Bash damage type is now physical instead of magical, which means that if enemy unit is BK beat and you bash the enemy, you will still do damage. Okay, and sprint cooldown is now decreased from 40 seconds to 28, so you can sprint more often. Okay, sniper. Okay, shrapnel AoE increased from 360 to 400, so you can hit more people. Okay, with shrapnel. Charge of Darkness. Okay, so Charge of Darkness will now also do a greater bash on its target. Okay, so this will also go through BKB. Okay, since greater bash go through BKB. Okay, so slight change to his Charge of Darkness. Okay, Storm Spirit. Okay, Electric Vortex cooldown now decreased from 20 to becomes a scaling cooldown. Okay, so basically it's slightly worse at level 1, okay, but better at level 4. So very slight change. Okay, don't think it will change the way Storm Spirit is played. Okay, next, Torrent Shifter Ancestral Spirit no longer receives Flying Vision, which means that if you cast Ancestral Spirit, he will be worse off as a scouting unit. Okay, you can't scout as effectively because you no longer have Flying Vision. Okay, and Natural Order Aura increased from 20, 40, 60, 80 to 25, 50, 70. Okay, so it's a buff, but honestly, in my opinion, Natural Order is still quite a crappy ability because it does its work on the base armor and not the added armor. Okay, which means that someone with already low base armor practically is not affected by this ability. Okay, for example, if I have a base armor of 5, okay, and I stack plate mails on top of it, Natural Order does nothing to the plate mail. Okay, it only debuffs the 5% base armor, which is kind of crappy because I don't know. Okay, for me it's kind of a sucky skill, and what's more, you have to the AoE for Natural Order is 275. Okay, basically you have to be right next to enemy to do for Natural Order to do its work. So basically, I don't think it's a very good spell at all, or it's not a very good ability at all in my opinion. Okay, next, Terrorblade. Terrorblade is not in Dota 2, so I'm not going to talk about him. Okay, Ravage. Tidehunter Ravage. Okay, after many nerfs, okay, he finally receives a very slight buff to Ravage. Okay, so now its AoE is 1000 at all levels. Okay, great. Okay, does the same AoE, okay, at all levels. Okay, much needed buff. Okay, Tidehunter has completely disappeared, okay, from the competitive scene. Okay, Tiny toss cooldown from 10 to 9, which means he can toss more often. Okay, and you can now toss enemy units to runes. So if your ally is trying to rune control, you can toss your ally to the rune for him or her to get the rune. Okay. Next, Treant Protector. So it we see some very slight buffs to Leech Seed, but unfortunately I don't think it will change anything about the way Treant Protector is played. His abilities are a bit weird. Basically, you pick him for very limited use for a very limited amount of time. Okay, he is very useful for a very short amount of time in the game. So, kind of a weird hero. I actually I like the idea, the hero concept behind Treant Protector, but I think his abilities need some serious rework for him to become an effective hero, both in pubs as well as in competitive scene. Okay, Troll Warlord receives some needed nerfs. Okay, his battle trance now, okay, cooldown increases. Okay, so we can't use it often. Okay, in fact, I think it's a totally imbalanced ability. So these are much needed nerfs to his battle trance. Okay, next, Tasca cooldown decreased from 24 to 21, so we can use it more often. Okay, very slight change. Let me just go down. Okay, Undying Soul Rip cast range increase, so we can cast it from a longer range. You can heal and attack using Soul Rip at a longer range. Okay, next, okay, Fury Strike's duration increase from 6 to 15. Okay, just let me check the details of that. Fury Strike is basically it lasts for 15 seconds. Okay, so it takes a longer time for the buff. Wait. So Fury. Oh, sorry, I was looking at the wrong ability. Okay, so not previously what happens is if you don't attack an enemy within 6 seconds, the Fury swipe debuff on the enemy will be removed. Okay, so now you can take your time and you can take more time in between hits. Okay, basically, so it's like a slight buff for Fury swipes. Okay, next, Vengeful Spirit. Okay, one of my favorite heroes. Receive some much needed buff for her. Okay, basically her issue is that okay, Nether Swap is kind of a weird ability. Okay, the cast range is kind of short previously at 600. Okay, what I actually posted on Play Dota forums regarding this. I was actually suggested scaling to 800, 1000, and 1002. Okay, so it has a much better cast range. Okay, but anyway, good to see that her Nether Swap cast range has increased. Okay, basically, if your cast, okay, the idea of Nether Swap is that you swap in yourself with a target enemy. So if the cast range is short, basically everyone can see you coming, and they'll just run away. Okay, so what you want to do is basically swap an enemy while they are not aware and to catch them off guard. So great, some buff for her. Okay, but I still think it should be scaled from like 800, 1000, 1002. Okay, that will make her much more viable as a pick. Okay, and she also received more strength, okay, which is good. Means that she has more HP, better as a support and survivability. Next, Venomancer, poison sting duration increases. Okay, so now there's more damage over time. So Viper Corrosive Skin now affects any damage source, not just regular attack, which means that if you cast spell on him, you also get the effect of Corrosive Skin. Next, okay, Viper Strike can no longer be removed by Dark Pact or Kraken Shell. Okay, so it's more effective as a counter on Slug as well as Tidehunter. Okay, next, Winter Wyvern, a hero not in Dota 2, so again I shall not talk about him. Okay, Witch Doctor Death Ward cast range has been buffed to 400 at all levels. Okay, much needed buff. Is actually the cast range is a bit short at lower levels. And Melodic cast range increase. Melodic kind of a weird ability. Okay, so now you can cast it from further range. Okay, so okay, that's all for the hero changes. Okay, for items, okay, drums, okay, has received a nerf. Okay, so now it costs 50 more gold. Okay, which kind of sucks actually. Okay, why do I say that? It's because okay, basically drums is a bit abused right now in the competitive scene, in the sense that okay, almost every one or every hero, every carry buys it. Okay, Chaos Knight, Luna, Gyrocopter, Spectre, every carry in the game basically buys a drum to use. Okay, so okay, what they want to do is they want the drum to be not so abused. Okay, but the problem with this is that okay, drums is actually technically speaking a support item. Basically, it gives needed stats to support heroes. Okay, so the thing is now, if you nerf the in terms of cost, carries don't buy them now. supports won't be able to afford them as easily. So it's kind of a weird way to nerf the item. I feel. Basically, what I think is if you want to nerf it, you could nerf some of the move speed bonus and maybe give it more stats. Okay, because that's what supports need. Okay, make it more change its ability to make it more support oriented. Okay, but anyway, that's what you got. Okay, it's now more expensive to buy. Okay, suck for a support player. Okay, next, Amulet of Mordigan receives a slight nerf. Its HP regen is now 7/8. Assault Cuirass receives a buff. Okay, its aura can now stack with other armor auras. Okay, for example, Ring of Aquila, Vladimir's Offering, Ring of Basilius. Okay, which is good. Okay, now I can buy Assault Cuirass and have it stack with someone's Ring of Basilius, basically. Okay, next, Backing Bar receives even more nerf. Okay, it receives another level of decrease, which means that now the lowest duration is 4 seconds. It's no longer 5. Okay, previously you could get 5 seconds of magic immunity. Now it's 4. Okay, which means that after a while, okay, your magic immunity will only be 4 seconds. Okay, which forces you to buy a new BKB. Okay, previously BKB already received a nerf whereby you cannot sell it, so now it receives another nerf. Okay, next, Blade Mail receives some buff. The armor increases from 5 to 6. Damage return cooldown decreased to 17, which means that you can use it more often. Okay, that's a slight buff for Blade Mail. Okay, next comes a change for Bloodstone, which is quite interesting. Okay, so Bloodstone charges now initial charge increases from 6 to 8, which means that you get more mana regen, and you get more regen from it when you first buy it, and now you have a cast or active ability whereby you can use it to instantly kill yourself, and your allies will receive the bonuses that you get, okay, when you die, normally with Bloodstone. Okay, so this is interesting if it were not for the 300-second cooldown. Okay, basically what this means is that, okay, if you're about to die and you have a Bloodstone, you use it, you deny yourself, okay, and all your allies receive a heal, okay, which is great for team fights. Okay, but you can only use it every 5 minutes. Okay, 300-second cooldown. Okay, next, a huge change I think to the current meta game, okay, which is bottle crowing. Okay, basically every mid hero right now bottle crows. Okay, so now when the bottle is empty and you put it on the courier moves 30% slower. Okay, this means that your bottle crowing will be slower, and it also means that your courier is more likely to be picked off. Okay, while it's moving or bottle crowing. Okay, but the thing is, when it says it's empty, I'm not sure if it means that it's completely empty or when it has still some charges left. Okay, so basically it's a nerf either way. So what I can do is I can use 2 charges and then put the bottle back on the crow. So technically it's not empty and it won't receive the nerf, but it also means that my bottle only now has 2 charges instead of 3 effectively, okay, for a solo mid hero. Okay, so either way is a nerf for bottle crowing. Okay, another nerf that the courier receives is that the courier no longer block neutral creeps. Previously, I think Kaipi, the competitive team Kaipi, love to do this. Okay, they use the courier to block neutral creeps. Okay, so now you can no longer do that. Okay, next, another nerf for its speed burst. Okay, when you're carrying a bottle. Okay, so basically they are nerfing bottle crowing. Okay, which kind of sucks for Magnus, because Magnus previously could long lane, he got a nerf, he couldn't long lane anymore, now he has to mid, and now he can't mid as effectively. Okay, so sucks to be Magnus right now. Okay, next, Dagon becomes cheaper. Okay, not much difference for competitive scene, seldom do people buy Dagon anyway. Dust of Appearance receives a buff. Okay, now it not only reveals invisible heroes, it also slows them, okay, which is great. Once you throw the dust on Invis hero like Ricky, he'll become slower. Okay, next, F-Blade receives a buff. Okay, duration increases to 4 seconds. Okay, U Scepter also receives a slight buff. Okay, movement speed bonus from 30 to 35. Very nice. 4 staff. Okay, a huge buff actually. Okay, the recipe cost has now decreased from 1,900. Okay, which makes it much easier for supports to afford a 4 staff. Okay, which is great. Okay, I love 4 staff as an item for supports and any hero actually. Okay, like I mentioned, okay, anything that forces you to be in another different position is a great item or ability. Okay, another change that big change to items. Okay, Gem of True Sight. Okay, Gem of True Sight can no longer be destroyed like Divine Rapier. Okay, which means that once a Gem of True Sight is bought, it will always be in the game. So in order for you to sort of deny it, you have to take it and bring it back to base and leave it in the fountain. Okay, so it can no longer be destroyed and it's now much more expensive. Okay, which again sucks for supports. It's harder, it's more expensive to buy now. Okay, it's now 850 gold. Okay, next, headdress AOE increases, okay, which is very nice. Okay, Blink Dagger cooldown decrease, so now you can use Blink Dagger more often. Okay, good. Lincoln Sphere cooldown, okay, buff for Lincoln Sphere, now it can proc more often. Okay, nerf on Lotus Edge, a bit too good right now. Okay, a lot of carries like to buy them. Okay, so receive a slight nerf to its attack damage. Okay, next, okay, Medallion of Courage receives a buff, which again, okay, this is a very nice buff. Okay, if you haven't realized, okay, I'm a pro support hero kind of person. Okay, so anything that benefits supports I like. Okay, anything that is detrimental to supports I'm not a big fan of. Okay, so Medallion Courage, okay, support item. Okay, so now basically what I can do as a support player is I can cast Medallion of Courage on the enemy my carry is targeting from a much longer range. Okay, as everyone knows, okay, supports don't want to be in the middle of the action. Okay, so by allowing a longer range, okay, so now it's much better as a support item. Okay, I can help my carry or ganker, okay, reduce the armor of the target by 6, okay, from a much longer range. Okay, very nice buff for Medallion of Courage. Okay, next, mechanism regeneration aura. Okay, it's now 750. Okay, great. Okay, good support item. Mechanism, buy it. Part players don't realize the importance of mechanism. Okay, buy it. Okay, next armor bonus for Buckler also increases to 750. Okay, so basically all the components of mechanism and itself has a aura radius of 750. Okay, next, Necronomicon changes. Okay, the armor type is now hero armor, so it receives slightly less damage from creeps. Okay, also make them better tanks. Okay, now talisman recipe decrease. Okay, so now it costs 10 gold less, which means in turn Dagon level 1 also costs 10 gold less. Okay, so slight buff for now talisman. A huge change this here for observer wards. Okay, so when you start off the game, the initial stock is 1 and not 2, which means that at the start of the game you only have 2 observer wards instead of 4. Okay, which means that you have to be a lot more careful about using your observer ward. Okay, what basically this does is that it forces you to make a choice on how you use observer ward. Okay, are you going to use it to block off a creep camp, okay, for the enemy neutral, okay, or are you going to use it for vision? Okay, if you use it for vision, you can't really use it to block off camp because now you only start with 2. Okay, it forces you to make a choice at the start of a game of the game. Okay, but after that the max stock is still 2, so it doesn't really change what happens at the end. So it makes you it forces you to make a choice at the start of the game. Okay, next, now Quelling Blade can target observer or sentry wards doing 100 damage. So basically now you can quell a ward and kill it in 2 hits. I guess what this, okay, I'm not sure what's the reason for this, or maybe it makes it easier to deward or something. Okay, but come on, what support buys Quelling Blade? I'm not very sure why this was introduced. Maybe the carry can help. Okay, the carry can help to deward faster. I'm not sure why this was introduced. Okay, maybe someone can enlighten me. Okay, next, Radiance receives a buff, so the burn damage instead of 45 per second is now 50 per second. Okay, so it deals more damage over time. Okay, Sanj and Yasha receives a slight buff. Okay, now you do more damage. Okay, you do 4 more damage, and you have a better chance to maim. Okay, it's 16 instead of 15, and you have slightly better attack speed. Okay, so it gives a plus 16 IAS instead of plus 15. Okay, so Sanj and Yasha, okay, minor changes. Okay, Sentry Ward's AoE decreased from 950 to 800, which means that it grants a lower range of true sight. Okay, which means that you have to be a lot more careful about its placement. Okay, since it gives you a lot less range now. Okay, Shadow Amulet, slight buff. Okay, Fate Time decreases from 2.6 to 2.4. Okay, still a crappy item. The only reason you buy Shadow Amulet is to make Shadow Blade or Lotus. Okay, Fate Time of anything above Fate Time of 2 point something seconds is way too long. Okay? In very rare situations will it save your life. Okay, because you have to stay still and people know that you're still there. Okay, so a Fate Time of a difference of 2.6, 2.4 not helpful. In fact, I would argue that even if you made the Fate Time 0, it wouldn't change much, because basically people would know that you're still there if you're using a Shadow Amulet. Okay, Shiva Guard gets a slight rework. The AoE for the aura is now smaller, okay, but it receives a much better attack speed reduction, okay, from 30 to 40. Okay, so it's better, more damage, more attack speed reduction, but at a smaller radius. Okay, so there's a balanced trade-off. Okay, Desolator buff, okay, from -6 armor to -7 armor, okay, buff on the Desolator. Veil of Discord buff, okay, but I don't think it will make any difference. Basically, Veil of Discord is a completely ignored item due to the way it does things. Okay, I think it has to receive a huge buff in terms of the magic damage amplification for it to be bought at all. Okay, maybe something like 100% increase in magic damage. Yeah, then you see it picked up left, right, and center. Okay. Okay, other than that, slight gameplay changes. The biggest, okay, so pick bans. Captain's mode bans now change from 2-3 to 2-2 and 1. So basically what this means is that instead of there are more ban and pick phases. Okay, previously you ban 2 and then you pick 3 and then you ban 3 and then you pick 2. So now at every phase, okay, now there are 3 phases. You pick 2, you ban 2, pick 2, ban 2, pick another 2, and then you ban 1 more and then you pick 1. Okay, basically it allows you to make better decisions. Okay, basically it gives you more flexibility in terms of your drafting. Okay, that's what I think it means. Okay, so previously you have to sort of guess what your opponent is doing, but with more ban pick phases you can sort of you have more reaction time, okay, to adjust to your enemy's pick and try to and attempt to outdraft them. Okay, so now there are 3 ban and pick phases instead of 2. Okay, so this is a change to Captain's mode. Okay, next, Slum changes to the goal receives, but the huge thing here is that now actually you need less experience. Okay, you need 500 less experience. Okay, this is huge for support players. Okay, you need 500 less experience to hit level 11. Okay, what this means is that you will get your level 2 ultimate, okay, much earlier. Okay, especially for supports. Okay, this is huge for support players. Okay, especially level dependent supports. Okay, you can get your level 2 ultimate much earlier. Okay, which gives you a better impact on the game, because typically supports are under leveled, so by the time they hit 11, okay, their level 2 ultimate is completely ineffective. Okay, so this is much better for supports that are level dependent. Okay, but of course the trade-off is that you hit your level 12 much slower. Okay, the experience requirement is increased by 500 in turn. Okay, so earlier level 11, later level 12. Okay, I feel this is great for level dependent supports. Okay, next, other huge change, buyback. Okay, buyback cooldown increase from 5 to 6. Okay, buyback is a bit too. Is actually quite important. Okay, people make use of buyback, so now you have to be more careful not to get killed, because the buyback cooldown increased by 1 minute. Okay, next huge change in terms of gameplay mechanic is this tower goal. Okay, what happened previously is that it's a bit complicated. Okay, what happens previously is that if a hero last hits a tower, the hero will get bonus goal. Okay, but that goal is actually unreliable goal. Okay, it's kind of weird. Okay, but if a neutral if a friendly creep destroys a tower, okay, everyone on your team gets a reliable goal. So it's kind of weird. Okay, if a hero last hit, he gets more goal that is unreliable goal. Okay, so what the change now is basically it gives reliable goal all around. Okay, so yeah, if I'm not wrong, okay, it now gives same reliable bounty to all players if a creep killed it. Okay, so wait, no, that's okay, towers now has separate bounty value where creeps or allies get the last hit. Okay, so basically it's sort of a balancing issue whereby everyone gets the same reliable tower goal no matter who kills it. Okay, so it's sort of like there's no there's not much need to compete about who gets the last hit. And so now a hero last gets the same goal as before. Okay, wait. Okay, let me just read this again. Now we know I have several bounty values. Oh, okay. No, so basically, what this means that you should still let your carry last hit, so he'll still get extra gold. Okay, so basically, okay. So let me just rephrase what I said just now. Okay, so basically, previously, if someone last hits the tower, if a hero last hits the tower, everyone else on the team gets less bounty gold. Okay, but now if if a hero last hits the tower, okay, everyone else gets more gold basically. So what this means is that when your carry last hits the tower, your supports get more gold. Okay, which is good. Okay, previously if someone say your carry last hits the tower, your supports actually get less gold. Okay, so now everyone gets more gold. Okay, which is good. Okay, so this is again good for supports. So supports get more gold. Great. Okay. Next, backdoor protection now not only heals the structure, it also reduces incoming damage by 25, so it's less easy. It's not as easy to backdoor anymore. Okay, next, siege units HP increased by 500 to 550. Okay, this is a great change, I feel. Okay, because previously last hitting siege units was very weird. Basically, if you wanted to last hit a siege unit previously, there was a luck component. Okay, the tower has the tower has to deal it has to deal damage on the lower end of its spectrum, so it will take 4 hits to destroy the siege unit. So basically you have to count 1, 2, 3 tower hits, and if you are lucky, on the 3rd hit the siege unit doesn't get destroyed and you can last hit it. But if you are unlucky, the 3rd hit will destroy the siege unit and you can't last hit the siege unit. So what this does is it removes the luck component from the last hitting. Okay, which means that last hitting is now completely skill based, more or less. Okay, which means that you only when you are last hitting siege units, you just need to count 4 tower hits. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you go for the last hit. Okay, instead of having a luck component to it. Okay, which is great. Okay, previously it was really annoying to last hit siege units because you had no idea whether the tower was dealing enough damage, okay, to destroy the siege unit at the 3rd hit. So it's very annoying. So now there's no more luck component. 4 hits and you can last hit the siege unit. Okay. Next, okay, repicking a random hero now re-adds the hero to the pool. Okay, this was something that I actually also suggested, so I'm very happy that this was now introduced. Basically, what previously happened was that if I random a hero, let's say Silencer, okay, I random him, and let's say I want to repick, and I click repick. Okay, Silencer is completely removed from pool. Okay, which means that I can deny, which means basically I deny the pick from someone else, so no one else can pick Silencer, even though I didn't want him. So now if I unpick or I repick a different hero, the random hero is added back to the pool, okay, which is great. That totally makes sense. Okay, previously the system didn't make sense at all. Okay, swapping. Okay, so now swapping cost gold. Okay, basically if you random a hero and you swap, okay, so you can no longer ask your ally, oh look, I random someone that you want, okay, and let me just swap with you. Okay, so now it costs gold to do that. Okay, so that is for the gameplay mechanic changes. Okay, other than that, you have some slight bug changes. Okay, I won't go through them. Okay, they are basically bug fixes, so I'm not gonna go through them. So that's all we have for that's all we have for the version 6.78. Okay, looking forward to playing it on Dota 2. Okay, so alright, that's all for me. Okay, thanks for watching.